Okay, everyone, ready to continue? First of all, please excuse me for the background. It started raining here, so I hope you won't get scared of it. So, without further ado, let's move on. Chapter 8, Bendy to the Rescue. Ian groaned as she began to wake up with a headache inside of her head. She felt like she was rolling down a cliff as she was pushed off. No, she wasn't pushed off, but rather knocked out cold. It was the ink demon that did it. He knocked the woman out cold as he dragged her to who knows where. As Ian got her vision back, she saw things more clearly now. She realized she was in a cage. She gasped as she sat up quickly and looked around. She was rather in a small cage, just like the other lost ones were. She was confused. Was she a slave? Was she a prisoner like the others? Correction. She felt like both of them, and she didn't know what to do. She felt also like she lost hope. What would happen to baby Bendy now? Just as Ian was about to go to sleep again due to feeling tired, heavy, inky footsteps were heard entering the room. It was a dark, tall figure that entered with no eyes at all and had big horns. It was the ink demon himself. He grinned as he saw that Ian was awake now and walked towards her. He opened the cage and stretched out his hand towards her, causing Ian to look away and used her hand to cover her face. But the ink demon didn't scare her at all and just grabbed Ian in his hand and took her out of her cage. He then went back towards his big-ass inky throne, as he liked to call it. Ian was surprised by how big the throne was and that even he could fit in it. He then dropped Ian into his big lap and she let out an woof. It was like, wait, nothing. Ian then let out a groan as she sat up and sat surprisingly comfortably on his lap, but feeling also scared to death. What's he gonna do? What was he planning? As Ian felt herself shaking, the demon just looked at her with a grin and gently cupped his cheek using his cold hand. Ian whimpered quietly, making sure that the demon didn't hear it. He then moved his large hand on top of her head and started to pet her. Ian felt surprised and confused by the ink demon's behavior. She felt like a child or a pet that was being petted. She wasn't either of those unless the ink demon had a different point of viewing things. He then laid his face closer to hers and nuzzled her face against his. Seriously, what was he doing? He purred like a big cat, while Ian let out scared noises, so the ink demon got the message. He then pulled his face away from hers, and as he did that, he got suddenly whacked on the head, causing the ink demon to fall off of the throne. Ian got out of his lap just in time, before she fell off as well. But as she looked up, she saw baby Bendy there, holding a frying pan. Was he Rapunzel while Ian was Flynn Rider? Bendy! Ian quickly ran over to him and hugged the baby tight into her hold. Bendy hugged her back tight while dropping the frying pan on the ground. He was just so happy to see her all right and well. He heard her loud screams while playing with his train, and he immediately got up to rescue her. But by the time he got there, he saw pictures on the ground, and he knew that the ink demon took her. So, what did baby Bendy do He collected first all pictures of them until he found them all, managed to get the lost one out, and found a frying pan he could use. You can say that he used his darker form in order to track the indie man down. They let go of each other and stared with smiles. But then they heard the indie man growl, and they knew they had to get out of there. So they ran like a crazy couple, away from the monster. Chapter 9. A Nap. After a long way of running, Ian began to feel tired. A lot has been going on in the studio that she explained already. First, Wilson dragged her into a messy adventure. She met Alice and got important details. She battled against the lost ones and searchers. She met Bendy, and so she also met the Indemon. A lot, right? But Alice told her to keep going. Did she mean that she can't rest until she's in the upper levels where it's safer? As Bendy was holding into Ian's hand, he was leading the way where they'll be going. Or was Bendy getting her into a safe place to rest? As they got into a place far enough, Ian and Bendy were panting from running, bending down with hands on their knees. That was a lot of running they did. Ian never ran hard and far for a few years, since she was a college student, and the time to follow sports as well at school. Bendy was the same except he didn't go to college, since he was trapped in the studio. He was also a cartoon and not a human like Ian was. Or was she also not a human? As they began to catch their breaths, they slowly stood up again and looked at each other with smiles on their faces, happy to see each other alive and well. But boy, Ian never felt that tired in her life before. Sure, she used coffee in order to stay awake for the night if she had to work late. But she had never drank coffee before Wilson dragged her and was able to survive crazy ways in the studio. Ian laughed a bit while Bendy grinned, but that was soon gone, and Ian nearly collapsed against the wall. Bendy immediately was worried and ran towards Ian and checked her for any wounds. Maybe the ink demon did something to her while he was gone? He felt angry at himself, but also guilty. Maybe he should have hit the ink demon's head harder next time. He wasn't sure. Ian perked up as she felt Bendy checking her out and giggled. This caused Bendy to stop and look at her confused. What was so funny? Ian made eye contact with the demon. I'm not hurt, Bendy. I'm just tired and need some help and need some sleep. Can you help me find a safe place? Bendy thought of for a moment playfully and showed a thumbs up, meaning that he will help her. Of course he will help her. They were friends. But baby Bendy has an inky heart with love feelings inside of him, and he's in love with Ian. After all, his tail will curl into her heart whenever she wasn't looking. Bendy helped Ian up, still holding her hand, and dragged her gently towards a safe room area where she could hide. Mind you, he was still holding the exact same fry pan when he hit the ink demon's head. He felt like Rapunzel while protecting his true love from any danger. Okay, this frying pan will be his favorite weapon from now on. Funny, right? Ian giggled quietly as her hero led her into a small room he knew from the back of his head. He was holding a tight grip on Ian's hand while both of them walked quietly into the room, and Bendy closed the door once they entered inside. The room was very small and good, not even very open, in order for the ink demon to appear. There was a couch, a very perfect bed to use to sleep on. Bendy let go of Ian's hand and pointed towards the couch as if saying to go lay down. Ian understood and went to lie down. She sighed, feeling relaxed as her head made contact with the soft pillow. As her eyes closed, she saw Bendy watching her with a smile on his face. Ian smiled back and fell asleep. Bendy watched her sleep for a while, before sitting down and getting his toy train out, before starting quietly to play. His fry pan was nearby in order to defend himself and Ian, just in case the enemies will barge in. Finally, Ian can rest. Chapter 10. Carly the Ghost Girl. After like 5 hours of sleep or so, Ian began to wake up from her dreamland state. She groaned as she woke up and then yawned with her hand over her mouth. She then rubbed her eyes and felt like someone was asleep on her chest and stomach area. As she blinked a few times, she finally saw things clearly, and it was Bendy sleeping on top of her. Oh, what a cutie. Maybe he was also tired from what happened with the ink demon, that he decided he was gonna take a quick nap. Bendy was sleeping soundly, while the frying pan and his train were on the floor, next to each other on the wooden floor. Ian smiled as gently rubbed his head between his horns, causing Ian to hear cute purrs from the demon as he snuggled deeper into Ian's body. As Ian watched and continued to rub Bendy's head, she smiled sadly. She knew they had to keep going to escape the studio together. They had to go, or else the ink demon will catch them, and Ian felt like the next time it wouldn't be easy to escape. Ian sighed softly as he rubbed Bendy on the shoulder. Bendy, darling, it's time to wake up. We have to go. Bendy blinked a few times before opening his cartoonish eyes and sat up to look at Ian. He looked at her with a typical smile on his face, but what he did next was so cute. He rubbed his head against Ian and left a kiss on her cheek, causing Ian to blush. Ian smiled lovely and kissed her cheek as well, causing Bendy to squeal and get off of her with a grey blush covering his cheeks. He put his both gloved hands against his cheeks and squealed. Ian couldn't help but laugh as she watched Bendy calm down. Ian got off of the couch and stretched before Bendy gave her the gem pipe that she dropped while trying to fight off the ink demon. She gladly took her and held it steady against her. Bendy put his toy train away and held his frying pan steady. They both looked like heroes with weapons and left the small, comfortable room, both having their favorite weapons in their hands. As they both walked into the room where Ian had to knock on the door, she saw that the door was there with all pictures in their places. She looked at Bendy, who was grinning at her happily. He saying through his smile that he did the job for them and had no choice but to kill the lost one, which caused violence towards Bendy. Good job, Benz. She high-fived Bendy, who looked proudly at her. As they both entered the room, Ian saw what she feared the most. It was an open area. The ink demon will come around soon or at any moment. Ian had to solve a puzzle with rolling cameras on it. It was thanks to a separate rolling camera she found in another part of the animation alley. That's how she solved the puzzle. It was a simple code, 235. Bendy clapped for her in proudness, and the woman smiled at Bendy. As they both entered the place, it was another open area, but this time the ink demon was there. Ian saw the first sights as she grabbed immediately Bendy's hand and ran towards a hiding place. Bendy snuggled and clung to her for dear life as he shook. Even though he and Ian escaped from the ink demon's wrath, it was a very scary experience for him. He's still scared of the ink demon. The ink demon growled as he didn't find his true target/prey. "I will come back for you, sweetheart." He had a grin on his face as he disappeared. Bendy slowly stopped shaking and then got out of the hiding place while Ian followed. But as both of them got out, they saw a lost one lurking nearby, a male. And as he spotted them, he attacked them with a strike. Bendy used his frying pan to hit the knees of the enemy to get him down, while Ian knocked the enemy out through the strike on the head. It fell down and was dead. As they both went on their way, Ian stopped Bendy as they found an interesting tape left by Jane Todd. Wasn't that the dead female lost one on the ground? She explained that she created the fourth gang member of the Butcher Gang, a ghost girl called Carly. As Ian listened still to the tape, Bendy noticed a big wooden box in the room, so he tucked Ian's sleeve and pointed towards it. Ian finally stopped listening to the tape and carefully walked towards the wooden box and carefully opened it, and it revealed nothing. Why was it empty? However, when Ian shrugged and turned around, she saw an image of a disturbing ghost girl. It was Carly, that was mentioned by Jane Todd in the tape. Ian nearly screamed and hit the ghost, but she only disappeared. What was happening? Chapter 11. New Powers. Bendy was also scared as well of what had happened. Who was that image of the ink creature attacking Ian? Short, it was Carly the ghost from the Butcher Gang. Even though she's messed up just like the other members of the Butcher Gang, Ian panted in shock while clutching her gem pipe close to her. Bendy came towards her and gave her comfort by landing his gloved hand against her loved knee, since he was small. Ian smiled a little and nodded toward him, giving him a sign that she was fine and they can continue on their journey. Bendy gave a thumbs up and went on his way, but Ian stayed behind for a while. That image of the ghost was definitely Carly. Maybe the poor girl wanted revenge since her creator Jane Todd was made fun of by other colleagues. It could be the explanation, but the studio could also be haunted by dead people that lost their souls here. Bendy stopped in his tracks when he noticed that Ian was not behind him, so he let out a loud whistle. "Coming!" Ian went fast to Bendy, leaving the dead body of Jane Todd behind. Likely the ink demon must have killed her or something. As Bendy and Ian arrived at a very dangerous place, they found a way across the path easily. Ian pulled the lever towards her, and in return, a tunnel came down slowly until it was like a bridge to go across. Bendy looked scared and put his hands in the air, like a toddler asking to be held in the air. Ian chuckled and picked him up as a mother did to her toddler. Ian didn't dare to look down, as she knew that the hellhole was deep and she won't make it definitely. As the future couple reached the way across, Ian placed Bendy down, and in return they both got startled by sounds because the chains broke and the tunnel disappeared. They felt so relieved it didn't break while they were crossing. As they both went on towards their dangerous adventure, they noticed likely a friendly lost one stuck in the puddles of ink. He was also wearing goggles. The lost one looked up towards Ian and Bendy. "Oh, hello there. Are you looking for the way out?" Bendy and Ian looked at each other before looking back at the lost one. "A way out will be nice. Are you stuck in there?" Both of them looked confused. Hehe, well, yes, and I'm afraid that means you're stuck too. Can't you move? The lost one shook his head. No, not an inch. Perhaps you can get me unstuck? Ian nodded. I'll see what I can do. Ian then had an idea. She quickly kissed Bendy's cheek before walking towards the lost one. Bendy, meanwhile, watched with a blush as Ian touched the ink puddle and it disappeared, causing the lost one to let out a wee. Bendy laughed a bit and decided to be cheeky by jumping down into the hole as well, hands in the air, to say that he was having fun. He felt funny in his stomach. Ian wanted to reach down and grab Bendy, but she sighed and shook her head. She then smiled a little, as Bendy can be funny. She looked down before jumping down as well. Down there. As Ian reached finally down, she landed on her feet, and she must say she felt proud of herself for doing so, as a hero did. Bendy clapped for her as Ian chuckled, while the lost one seemed to smile. Thank you very much for your help. The name's Porter, by the way. And who might you two be? I'm Ian, and this is Bendy. Then Porter asked a question that embarrassed the duo so bad. Are you two an item? Both Bendy and Ian blushed, shaking their heads no. Bendy also couldn't help but hide his eyes by covering them with both his gloved hands. Porter couldn't help but laugh. You two look cute. He then looked at Ian. As a thank you for the rescue, here's a little gift. Something I have learned. He then grabbed Ian's hand using both hands and gave her new power to her. Bendy seemed to be foaming. He is jealous because of the touching contact. Goodbye, Ian and Bendy. Try not to die. He then laughed as he flowed into the other side of the big hall. He then walked away. That was weird, Ian commented, and as she looked at Bendy, the demon immediately calmed down and smiled embarrassedly at her. He then bowed and pointed towards the other side of the way, saying, Ladies first. Ian laughed at the cheeky move, picked Bendy up like a child, and then flew to the other side. Chapter 12. A Way Out? Bendy held on for dear life when Ian used her powers to flow at the other side of the hall. He was even shaking and had his eyes closed in order to not look down. As Ian flew to the other side of the hall, she felt Bendy shaking and looked softly at the ink demon. She gently rubbed his shoulder to make him look at her. When Bendy did that, he felt lost in Ian's golden eyes. He wasn't scared anymore, and Ian smiled gently at him. We are safe. You can let me go now. Bendy finally managed to look down, and indeed they were not in the hole, but safely on the wooden ground. He felt embarrassed since he was holding tight to Ian, as if he wanted to still snuggle her. It's true, he wanted to still snuggle her, but it was not time for that. He finally climbed down, but not letting go of Ian's hand. Aw, you want to protect me? Bendy puffed out his chest and nodded bravely. He indeed wanted to protect her, but what if she would leave him if she found out his dark secret? He was not the ink demon, but there were in fact two Bendys in the studio. Wilson failed to trap the ink demon to a good Bendy body so that he couldn't escape. The ink demon has been around ever since the events of the ink machine with Henry Stein, and now Wilson created a good Bendy around here, and he escaped the clutches of the evil, manipulative man. But Wilson experienced a poor baby Bendy that he gave the demon a terrifying dark form of Ink Bendy, as everyone liked to call it. Ian didn't know that yet, but she's about to find out soon, like in the city of the studio. Ian found out that she had to upgrade her gent pipe in order for doors to open. She managed to find first all she needed items to upgrade, and when it was done, she found out she needed special batteries. She looked at Bendy, smiling happily, as she finally understood the weird items now. So, that's why it's needed. Bendy nodded with his usual smile, and then thumbs up. He then watched Ian fully in the gem pipe up with a special battery. They went back towards the elevator door, and Ian gripped Bendy's hand as she flew towards the other side, and just in time, because the lost ones began to scramble again. Ian and Bendy even had to kill searchers on the way. So, those were searchers like Alice told Ian about it. As Ian opened the door and both of them went up to the stairs, the Ink Demon spoke again. Your journey will end as you both are consumed in my dark kingdoms. Here you will find meaning in your pain. Wait, the Ink Demon wanted to kill them now, or was he just warning both her and Bendy? They had to be extra careful now. They had to find another way through the artist's rest area in order to open the elevator door. Ian heard creepy music playing in the background of a sleeping song. Yes, Bendy could have brought Ian here in order to rest, but it looked like an open area and not safe. To their horror, more of the lost one lurked around, and they had to kill them all. It was also indeed an open, not safe area. Good that Bendy found a small room in order to rest. All Ian had to do was to press the light button upon Lost and Found and flow to get the keys. As she and Bendy walked back towards the main area, the doors opened, revealing to be the Ink Demon eating a lost one. Bendy couldn't help but hug Ian's leg tightly, feeling scared. Ian, however, didn't look scared this time. She looked mad. Fighting won't be a good idea, so she took Bendy's hand and flew back towards the place where she found the keys. Both Bendy and Ian stared as the Ink Demon looked mad that he didn't reach for them and walked away. As they both rested for a while, Bendy tapped Ian with his finger on her shoulder, and once the girl looked at him, Bendy pointed back and mentioned the main area. Ian nodded and stood up together with the demon. She followed them back and walked towards the main area, but as they went, Wilson spoke. Well, 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 it's been a while, hasn't it? Attention, children of the machine, it's Wilson. There have been lies that the Ink Demon has been spotted in Animation Alley. Pay no attention to these filthy rumors. I destroyed the demon myself. He died by my hands. So don't be afraid. Your friend Wilson will protect you. Then it went quiet. Ian scoffed as Bendy looked at her. He saw how mad she looked. She's mad at Wilson. He was a horrible liar, and the Ink Demon has been really spotted by like almost everyone. The Ink Demon is free from prison. Wilson didn't really kill the demon, did he? As Bendy looked behind Ian, to his horror, more of the lost one were coming. He immediately grabbed Ian's hand and sat her away while hitting enemies on the way with his frying pan. Meanwhile, Carly the ghost kept appearing almost all the time. Chapter 13. Eggs. As Bendy and Ian managed to escape from the Lost One's grasp, Ian used her gem pipe to unlock the door. Once Ian opened the door, she left with Bendy towards another open area. Not safe again. Bendy held his frying pan steady while Ian had her jump pipe just in case of any other unexpected attacks. I mean, everything was just unexpected since this whole looking up thing in the studio. Just how big was this place? Ian wanted to find a map so that she can find the way out. But where could it be? Probably, maybe even never. "This is Wilson," he began speaking through the mic. "Anyone caught in restricted areas will be taken immediately to the pit. So be a good egg. Follow the rules." Ian was baffled. Did Wilson call everyone eggs? What in Egg's name was that for a nickname to call the subjects? As Ian walked with Bendy and looked down to see his reaction, his face was funny. Ian nearly laughed, but kept his things together. However, when both of them reached the elevator, they stopped very quietly in their tracks. There was the ink demon. And you know what he was doing. He was eating a lost one he got. It was definitely like a horror movie. Bendy and Ian wanted to back away, but the elevator was the only way to the exit. But as Bendy stepped and let out a squeak, the ink demon turned towards them and growled, the elevator doors closing. Then Ian grabbed Bendy's hand, immediately understanding that they pissed the demon off, and went to hide together in a medical station up the stairs. Poor Bendy hugged Ian's leg while hiding with her as they heard the heavy footsteps together of the ink demon. Then they heard a growl, meaning that he was away. After the incident, they went to the elevator immediately, and it went up. As it took for a while, Bendy did something that made Ian blush. He grabbed her hand and kissed the back of it, causing Ian to let out a "aww" and giggle. "Aren't you such a cutie?" Bendy squealed, feeling embarrassed. That's when the elevator stopped in a sharp way. Both the baby cartoon and Ian looked at each other, feeling quite scared now as they didn't know what to do. "Unauthorized surface elevator in use. Manual lift ejection activated." A voice suddenly responded through the speakers. Ian and Bendy became concerned about who spoke through the speakers. The voice sounded glitchy, as if from a computer, and even creepy from a movie. Something told in Ian's gut that it must be a keeper. What did he want? Then, to the shock of Bendy and Ian, the elevator collapsed down, causing them to hit the wooden floor and lost consciousness. But Bendy was forced to wake up. He noticed a disgusting / unusual area where there were eggs. It was black, inky eggs. But then, to his shock and horror, one was close to his crotch, and he looked out of a horror movie. It didn't have like eyes, but only a huge, disgusting mouth. He used his frying pan to smash the spider away. He then ran towards Ian and shook her, causing the girl to groan and look at Bendy with a headache. "What's wrong, baby?" Bendy only pointed towards the eggs, so when Ian looked and saw more spiders coming out, she let out a shriek and immediately got up, her jet pipe out. She looked at Bendy. "Destroy the eggs!" Well, I'm gonna stop for now. I've read so much. I've read the chapters 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 for you guys. If you want me to continue, just tell me in the comments below, and I'll be sure to continue with more of this story. Until next time, my sweeties. Peace.